Imagine the deep ocean, a place we see as the cradle of life. But what if it's also a tomb, a vast, dark crypt holding secrets far older and stranger than any shipwreck? What if, buried deep within its sediments, lie ancients, sleeping giants, not monsters, with teeth and claws, but microscopic pathogens frozen in time? Welcome to the story of the ocean's potential zombie. Apocalypse, a tale of prehistoric viruses and bacteria that could rewrite the history of mass extinctions. So, what exactly are these ancient pathogens? Think of them as microbial ghosts. They're viruses, bacteria, and other microbes that have been dormant for thousands, even millions of years, perfectly preserved in extreme environments like polar ice or, crucially, deep-sea mud where there's no oxygen and it's brutally cold. They aren't dead, just sleeping. Scientists call this state cryptobiosis. The terrifying and fascinating part is that under the right conditions, these ancient microbes could wake up. This isn't just science fiction. It's a very real and mysterious frontier of scientific discovery. The deep ocean floor is the largest, least explored part of our planet. What sleeping giants does it hold? And what would happen if they were disturbed? The hunt for these microbial ghosts is already happening, though mostly on land for now. You've probably heard the headlines. Scientists drilling into Siberian permafrost and finding giant viruses some 30,000 years old that are still infectious after being thawed in a lab. They've also pulled ancient bacteria from ice cores drilled in Antarctica and Greenland, some dating back hundreds of thousands of years. The methods they use are straight out of a high-tech thriller. They use metagenomics, which is like a genetic census, to read the DNA of every single microbe in a sample without having to grow them. This tells them who's there. Then, for the really brave part, they sometimes try to culture them, gently waking them up in a secure lab to study how they work. Now, let's connect this to the ocean. The ocean floor is a massive repository of sediment that has been slowly accumulating for eons. Just like the layers of ice in a glacier, these sediment layers are a timeline. Anything that was in the water, column algae, plankton, bacteria, viruses, eventually sinks and gets buried. Deep down, where it's cold, dark, and anoxic, decomposition slows to a crawl. It's the perfect natural cryopreservation chamber. Scientists are just beginning to apply the same techniques they use on permafrost to these deep-sea sediment cores. The logical question is, if we find ancient viable pathogens in frozen soil, why wouldn't we find them in the frozen-like conditions of the deep seabed? The potential is enormous. So, let's play out a scenario. A prehistoric apocalypse. How could one of these ancient pathogens trigger a mass extinction event? It would start with a trigger. Imagine a period of intense global warming, much like the one we're experiencing now. The deep ocean, usually stable, begins to warm up. Or perhaps massive underwater volcanic activity or a geological ship churns up sediments that have been buried for millions of years. This change in temperature or physical disturbance is the alarm clock. Dormant microbes, pathogens that haven't seen the light of day since the dinosaurs, are reanimated and released into the water column. Once awake, the biological mechanism for devastation is frighteningly simple. These pathogens would be completely new to the immune systems of the creatures living in the ocean at that time. Think about it. Modern species have spent millions of years co-evolving with modern diseases. Their immune systems are trained to fight them, but an ancient virus from a bygone era. It would be like a key fitting a lock no one even knew existed. The spread could be incredibly rapid, carried by ocean currents across the globe. For marine life, there would be no defense, no herd immunity. It would be a biological bleed. This isn't just a wild hypothesis. When we look back at Earth's history, we see several major mass extinction events, and some of them are pretty mysterious. The late Devonian extinction, around 372 million years ago, primarily wiped out marine life. The cause is still debated, but a rapid species-specific killer fits the profile of a pathogen. Even more famous is the Great Die-In, the Permian-Triassic extinction about 252 million years ago. It was the single worst extinction event in Earth's history, wiping out over 90% of marine species. While massive volcanic eruptions and climate change were the main drivers, some scientists propose that these environmental stresses weakened ecosystems, making them vulnerable to a final blow-up pandemic unleashed from the warming anoxic oceans. The stressed environment could have created the perfect breeding ground for microbes, including deadly pathogens, to flourish and deliver their coup de grace. This might all sound like ancient history, but it has chilling echoes in our modern oceans. We are already witnessing events that look like dress rehearsals for this kind of scenario. Think about the mass coral bleaching events happening worldwide. Warmer waters stress the corals, making them expel their symbiotic algae and become vulnerable to diseases that finish them off. We see mysterious die-offs of marine mammals, like dolphins and seals, often linked to novel viruses or bacteria thriving in changing conditions. And what about harmful algal blooms? The so-called red tides. These are explosions of microscopic organisms, some of which produce toxins that devastate marine ecosystems from the bottom up. These are all examples of how environmental stress, primarily driven by climate change today, can tip the balance and favor pathogenic or harmful microbes. The conditions we are creating in our oceans warmer, more acidic, with expanding low oxygen zones, eerily similar to the conditions that preceded past extinction events. We are, in effect, potentially warming up the petri dish. But it's not all doom and gloom. The ocean is incredibly resilient. For billions of years, it has maintained a delicate balance. Natural systems have ways of keeping pathogens in check. For every harmful microbe, there are countless others that are beneficial, and even viruses that specifically infect and kill harmful bacteria. This vast, complex web of microbial interactions is a planetary-scale immune system. Scientists are working to understand this system better. By studying the ocean's natural defenses, we might discover new ways to combat diseases, not just in the ocean, but for humans as well. For example, some of the most promising new antibiotics have been discovered from marine microbes. There is a race against time to understand and learn from the ocean's microbial world before we disrupt it beyond repair. So what's the path forward? How do we guard our blue planet from these ancient threats? The first step is knowledge. We need to support the scientists on the front lines, the marine microbiologists, the paleoceanographers, the geneticists who are drilling into the seabed and sequencing ancient DNA. Their work is like a planetary health checkup, giving us a baseline to understand what's normal and detect when things are starting to go wrong. This research is vital for our own biosecurity. Understanding how pandemics started in the past is one of the best ways to prepare for and hopefully prevent them in the future. Ultimately, The story of ancient ocean pathogens is a powerful reminder of how interconnected everything is. The health of the deep sea is linked to the health of the climate, which is linked to the health of every species on the planet, including us. These zombie viruses are not some monster lurking in the dark to get us. They are a part of the planet's history, a warning signal embedded in the very fabric of the earth. By appreciating the ocean's fragility and power, by supporting scientific exploration, and by taking real action to protect our climate, we are not just saving whales or coral reefs, we are protecting the delicate balance that keeps these ancient ghosts in their tombs, ensuring that the story of a prehistoric apocalypse remains in the past where it belongs. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the deep past fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the mysteries of our world. See you next time.